After the Buddha attained enlightenment under the Bodhi tree, he often used various dialectical methods and debates to guide his disciples in realizing the ultimate truth. Among them, concerning the location of the mind, a debate between the Buddha and Ananda not only revealed the mystery of the mind, but also pointed the way for future practitioners. In the early morning, just after the morning bell of the bamboo grove Sutra Society had rung, sunlight filtered through the bamboo leaves, casting dappled shadows upon the ground. The Buddha sat serenely beneath the central Bodhi tree, his expression peaceful, while his disciples gathered around him, quietly listening. The Buddha opened his eyes, gently glanced around, and finally fixed his gaze upon Ananda. The Buddha spoke softly, with a compassionate smile, and asked, "Ananda, you have practiced with me for many years. Have you ever wondered where this bamboo grove we are in right now is located?" At that moment, the entire assembly seemed to freeze because of this question. The disciples remained silent. In this tranquility, Ananda, with a respectful expression and hands joined in reverence, softly replied, "Bhagwan, this place is the Bamboo Grove Monastery, located outside of Rajagaha." His voice was calm, yet filled with reverence and contemplation. The Buddha slightly perspired on his hand, seemingly acknowledging Ananda's response, yet his gaze remained calm as he looked steadily at him and slowly said, "Ananda, we are both within this shock. What did you see first?" Upon this question, the scene once again fell into silence. Ananda pondered briefly and replied, "World-honored one, the first thing I saw was your compassionate and dignified Dharma form. The image of you seated serenely beneath the Bodhi tree brought peace and calm to my heart. Only after that did I notice the fellow practitioners around us. And lastly, I became aware of this tranquil bamboo grove." The Buddha's gaze remained gentle. He did not respond immediately, but continued to inquire. Ananda was already startled and wondered how it was possible to see the bamboo grove outside. Ananda, slightly puzzled yet still respectful, replied, "World-honored one, because the pavilion is open on all sides without any barriers. Although I am inside, I can still see the scenery beyond." The Buddha smiled faintly, as if pleased with Ananda's response, yet his words still carried profound meaning. "Ananda, what you have said is indeed true. But do you know, if I ask you, where is your mind?" This question caused a ripple of Jundong among the disciples present. Although the Buddha's tone was calm, this question reveals a profound philosophical proposition. What exactly is the mind? Where is it? How does it connect with the world? Ananda lowered his head and pondered for a moment. Finally, he looked up and said, "World-honored one, I thought that the mind should reside within the body." At this moment, the tranquility in the air seemed to deepen alongside the Buddha's smile. The Buddha did not hastily reject Ananda's response, but paused briefly, preparing to guide his disciples into a deeper level of contemplation. After a moment, the Buddha looked at Ananda and gently said, "Ananda, you say the mind is within the body, but have you ever considered, if the mind is within the body, how can we perceive the veins and organs inside it? Have you ever seen the flow of blood or the operation of the 5 viscera and 6 entrails within your body?" Upon hearing this, Ananda felt a wave of doubt arise in his heart. He had never pondered this question deeply, and honestly replied, "Lord Shakyamuni, I cannot see the veins and organs inside the body. I only perceive the body's wholeness and the sensation of its activities, but have never witnessed them with my own eyes." The Buddha lightly waved his hand and then said, "Since that is the case, how can the mind exist within a body that cannot be perceived? If the mind were inside the body, it would be like a bright lamp illuminating its surroundings, surely able to reveal every subtle part within the body. But the fact is, you cannot see these. The body is an organ system, while the mind is the subject capable of awareness and perception. The relationship between mind and body should be understood as distinct." At this moment, Ananda began to feel a trace of confusion. Although he had never deeply contemplated the nature of the mind, the Buddha's teachings led him to begin questioning his own understanding. The Buddha's voice remained calm as he asked again, "Then, since the mind is not within the body, can it be considered that the mind exists outside the body? Just as you see the bamboo grove and see me, is the mind therefore among these external objects?" Ananda seemed to be enlightened and replied, "World-honored one, I understand. Since we are able to perceive the external world, the mind must be outside the body, observing the external through the senses, such as the eyes." The Buddha continued to ask in return, "Then, if the mind is at the eye base, would it be like the light of a lamp illuminating both inside and outside?" Ananda was momentarily at a loss for words. After careful contemplation, he replied, "World-honored one, I have never seen my own eyes directly. I can only see them through others or their reflection in a mirror." The Buddha smiled gently at Ananda and said softly, "Ananda, if the mind were located in the eye organ, one should be able to see the eye itself. However, you cannot see your own eye. This indicates that the mind is not confined to the eye organ. The eye is merely a tool of the mind. The mind does not exist solely within any single organ. Its function is to perceive the external world through these organs, rather than being limited to any one of them." This confused Ananda even more. He took a deep breath, harboring many questions in his heart, but did not dare to ask them lightly. It was only when the Buddha looked at him with profound gaze and spoke slowly that Ananda realized he had been attached to where the mind dwells, yet had never truly contemplated the nature of the mind itself. Is the mind a fixed entity, or does it possess a certain energy and function that transcends all spatial and formal limitations? The Buddha's question seemed to stir some deep reflections within Ananda's heart. He lowered his head, recalling the tranquility and awareness he experienced during his practice, then finally raised his head and slowly replied, "World-honored one, I have experienced a profound perception in meditation, a perception that is omnipresent yet cannot be specifically localized. I suspect that the mind may not be a fixed, permanent entity, but rather a dynamic, ever-changing capacity." A gleam of satisfaction flashed in the Buddha's eyes as he nodded and said, "Ananda, you have gained some insight. The mind is not the concrete entity you cling to. It is omnipresent, yet has no fixed abiding. It is like a bright mirror, capable of reflecting all things in the world, yet never defiled by what it reflects. The mind has no intrinsic nature. It manifests all phenomena, yet remains unaffected by them." Ananda finally realized that the mind is not a substance, not something that can be seen or touched, but a mirror-like force capable of perceiving all things, yet itself is ethereal and unattached. Observing the sudden enlightenment in Ananda's eyes, the Buddha gently continued his teaching. "Ananda, the nature of the mind is like a bright mirror. It can reflect all things in the world, yet it remains unaffected by any of them. When you see the bamboo forest, see me, see everything, it is actually the manifestation of your own mind. External phenomena possess no inherent nature. They arise due to conditions and causes coming together, and ultimately their existence depends on the perception within your own mind." The Buddha paused, then slowly sighed and said, "When you let go of attachment to external things and relinquish fixed views of the mind, you can realize the inherent emptiness and tranquility of all phenomena, attaining the purity and awakening of the mind. The purpose of practice is to eliminate these delusions and attachments, not to seek new positions or states of mind." These words were like a sudden enlightenment, gradually clarifying Ananda's mind. Although he could not fully comprehend them yet, he already felt a profound revelation from the Buddha's teachings. The Buddha looked at Ananda, his gentle gaze revealing profound wisdom. He spoke slowly, his tone calm, yet filled with strength. "Ananda, you say the mind is like a clear mirror, capable of reflecting all things yet not defiled by any of them. So, what is the nature of the mind? Have you ever considered that the mind is neither inside the body nor outside it, neither in the eye nor in any other organ? How then can it perceive all things, and why is it not bound by the objects it perceives? Ananda bowed his head in contemplation, each word of the Buddha striking like a sharp sword, directly cutting through his inner attachments. He recalled the confusions he encountered in his practice, attempting to find answers, yet increasingly feeling that these questions were beyond his grasp. He respectfully raised his head and asked, Shakyamuni, since the mind is everywhere yet without any abiding place, why are we able to perceive the external world and experience joy, anger, sorrow, and happiness? What is the true nature of the mind? The Buddha smiled gently and continued to speak with kindness. Ananda, the true nature of the mind is precisely emptiness. He has no fixed confidence, no entrenched position. He is like a mirror that can reflect all phenomena, yet remains unstained by any of them. A mirror reflects the images of the external world, but the mirror itself is not affected by these images. The mind is likewise such. It is capable of perceiving the world, yet it is not entangled by the world. Ananda seemed to suddenly awaken, yet there remained some doubts within his mind. If the mind is emptiness, as taught by the Blessed One, then how do we experience the myriad changes of the world? How can one experience the ups and downs of life and truly feel them? The Buddha continued to teach, Ananda, the emptiness of the mind does not mean it has no function. Rather, its function is limitless. It can perceive all things and embrace everything without any fixed attachment. Precisely because of the emptiness of the mind, it can perceive and manifest infinite transformations. Yet these transformations do not alter the essential nature of the mind. The mind is like emptiness, capable of embracing all perceptions, yet not being fixed by any perception. Ananda reflected once more, seemingly perceiving the profound meaning in the Buddha's words. Yet he remained perplexed about the relationship between the mind and the world. He asked again, then, Shakyamuni, since the mind is not dependent on anything, how does it connect with our life and our body? Why are we able to perceive pain and pleasure in life? The Buddha looked deeply into Ananda's eyes and responded with a smile. Ananda, suffering and happiness, joy and sorrow, all arise from dependent origination. The emptiness of the mind allows us to perceive the changes of these emotions, but the nature of the mind does not reside in these changes. We are always attached to these emotions and phenomena, believing they represent my existence. But these emotions are merely manifestations of the mind, and the mind has no inherent, fixed nature. When you're able to let go of your attachment to these feelings, no longer perceiving them as my emotions, you will see these feelings dissipate like clouds of smoke. The emptiness of the mind allows it to perceive all things without being defiled by these perceptions. The nature of the mind is without reliance. It depends neither on external changes nor on internal emotions. Its purity and emptiness are precisely the reasons it can truly embrace all things. After hearing this, Ananda's heart gradually became enlightened, and he finally understood that the emptiness of the mind is not unrelated to perception. Rather, his essence lacks a stubborn mindset. Precisely because of this, the mind can embrace all phenomena without being affected by them. The Buddha, perceiving that Ananda had some understanding, continued, Ananda, the world you perceive is actually a projection of the mind. You see the bamboo forest, you see me, you see all things, but in truth, it is your own mind manifesting these things. External phenomena have no inherent nature. They arise solely because of the mind. The mind is not a mirror reflecting the external world. It is as clear as water, responding to all phenomena without leaving any trace. The Buddha paused for a moment, as if giving Ananda time to contemplate these profound truths. Once you understand this, you will realize that all suffering and distress arise from your attachment to the external world. When you let go of your attachment to the external world and relinquish your clinging to me, you will be able to perceive a new emptiness and tranquility. This is precisely the key point of practice. At this moment, Ananda felt as if the clouds had parted to reveal the sun, experiencing a profound inner stirring. He finally realized that the emptiness of the mind is not an abstract philosophical proposition, but a profound lived experience. The mind has no attachments precisely because it can embrace all things, tolerate all things, and is not bound by anything. Therefore, true practice is not about changing the external world, but about eliminating the delusions and attachments within the mind, returning to the original nature of the mind, and finding genuine freedom. The Buddha smiled and nodded upon seeing the transformation in Ananda. Ananda, you have begun to understand the new emptiness, but this is only the first step. True cultivation lies in experiencing and realizing the new emptiness within daily life. When you can truly let go of attachment and relinquish all discriminative thoughts, you will be able to experience inner tranquility and light, ultimately attaining the state of liberation. Ananda was deeply moved, his heart filled with gratitude and resolve. Bhagwan, I understand. I will continue my practice, let go of attachments, return to the true nature of the mind, experience emptiness, and ultimately find freedom within. The Buddha gazed at Ananda with profound and compassionate eyes, as if able to perceive the depths of his heart. Although Ananda had attained some realization, he still felt that there was a distance between himself and a complete understanding of the true nature of the mind. He respectfully asked, Bhagwan, you say that the mind has no reliance and the intention has no abiding, yet this disciple still feels confused. If the mind has nothing to rely on, how can one find direction in practice? If the mind does not rely on the body and external objects, how can we live in a world without being trapped in the cycle of birth and death? The Buddha smiled gently and said slowly, Ananda, what you seek is not a specific answer, but a state of awakening. Your attachment to the concrete existence of the mind is like clinging to the shape of water, forgetting that the nature of water is to follow conditions, without form or external boundary. The mind is also like this. It has no fixed form, yet it pervades all and perceives all. This is the principle that nothing exists outside the mind, and all phenomena are manifestations of the mind. Ananda lowered his head in contemplation, seemingly understanding the Buddha's meaning, yet hesitating to draw a conclusion rashly. The Buddha continued, stating that all phenomena in the world arise due to the convergence of causes and conditions. Your emotions, your perceptions, your suffering and joy are merely phenomena arising from causes and conditions. If you cling to these phenomena, you'll be trapped by them. Just like ripples on the water, if you identify the ripples as the entirety of the water, then when the ripples vanish, you will lose your way. But if you understand that the true nature of water is purity and clarity, you will not be shaken by the ripples and waves. After hearing this, Ananda seemed to have an insight. He gently asked, World-honored one, I understand that the mind has no fixed abode, but I still wish to know how to realize this in daily practice. How can the mind truly be freed from all attachments? The Buddha replied kindly, Practice is not about seeking a fixed place for the mind, but about being aware of its omnipresence. You should observe your mind in daily life. When feelings of joy arise, when feelings of anger arise, be aware of these changes. When you feel sadness or attachment, also observe it with mindfulness. You will find that all emotions and thoughts are transient, like floating clouds. They come and go, but the nature of the mind remains like emptiness, unchanging, neither increasing nor decreasing, neither arriving nor departing. Ananda silently nodded, beginning to understand that cultivation is not about eliminating all emotions, but transcending them and not being bound by them. The Buddha continued, You must remember, true practice lies in being aware of your mind in each present moment, rather than seeking an eternal, unchanging mind. The mind is like water. If you cling to a certain state, it cannot flow, it will solidify, and eventually become ice. Practitioners should let the mind be like flowing water, continuously moving and adapting freely according to conditions. At this moment, Ananda felt a certain loosening within his heart, his gaze revealing a trace of ease and joy. He said to Shi, Bhagwan, I understand that practice is not about seeking a fixed answer, but about realizing the impermanence, lack of reliance, and non-abiding nature of the mind. As long as one does not cling to any particular state, neither forgetting to seek nor refusing, the mind naturally attains tranquility. The Buddha lightly wiped his hand with sweat, his gaze revealing a sense of relief. Indeed, Ananda, when you let go of attachment, you can experience true freedom. The reason you feel bound is because you cling to certain thoughts. When you let go of attachment to the mind and truly experience its flow and emptiness, you will be free and unimpeded. Ananda deeply prostrated, his heart filled with reverence. The Exalted One, from this day forward, your disciple shall diligently practice, continuously mindful of the mind, no longer clinging to fixed answers, but seeking to realize the true nature of the mind. The Buddha looked at Ananda gently and said, the path of cultivation is long and profound. Today you have attained some insight, but practice is not a matter of one day or one night. It is the awareness and application in every present moment. You have already embarked on the path of enlightenment. From here on, it is a continuous practice in daily life, realizing new truths. The bamboo grove remained serene, with morning light casting upon the Buddha and his disciples. This dialogue concerning the mind, though concluding at this moment, marks only the beginning of practice for Ananda. He understands that true awakening does not come from intellectual thinking, but arises from every moment of practice and mindful awareness in daily life. With this understanding, he resolved to continually deepen his practice in the future until he completely realizes the nature of mind, attaining liberation and freedom.